My name is Ellie, I'm the Chair of the Scottish Youth Parliament.
Hello, my name's Cara, I'm the Chair of the Children's Parliament.
And my name is Joe, I'm the Permanent Secretary of the Scottish Government.
And we're here today because we've just had the annual Executive Team Takeover. Cara, do you want to share a bit what that is?
It's basically when the Scottish Youth Parliament and the Children's Parliament meet up together and talk to the executive team about important issues happening right now in Scotland.
And I think we're about to get some creative and we're going to capture how we're feeling after today's meeting and sort of what we're taking away from it. But we're also going to do that while interviewing the new Permanent Secretary.
So I have to do two things at once?
Two things at once.
I'm not sure I can do that. We'll give it our best shot, Cara. Okay.
If you want, I can kick us off with the first question, which is kind of, how are you finding your new role?
Great. It's been an amazing couple of months. It's incredibly varied. I have to learn a lot about a lot of different things, but it's really enjoyable. And I just, I've worked here for 20 years in this organisation, so I feel very proud to be in that lead role.
Okay.
We'd like to know what you've learned today that you didn't already know.
So I learned a lot about vaping actually in our chat, the Children's Parliament in the garden. The guys were incredibly knowledgeable, and there was a lot I learned about how vapes are sold, how they're marketed, and just some of the concerns that young people have about the way that vapes are so available to people. So I learned a lot about that.
What are you going to paint?
I'm going to paint, honestly I don't know. Let's see how we go. I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay.
What it is, but it might be more of a mood than a thing.
And another question that we had was kind of around what's your favourite sort of memory of working with children and young people to sort of make change, and do you have anything that jumps out to you on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think actually the kind of updates today on gender-based violence, I think, were really important. We've got a great colleague, Louise MacDonald, who's Director General for Communities, who worked for a long time as the Chief Executive Young Scot, and you can really tell she has a lot of experience of working with young people. And I think the way that she has brought young people into thinking about gender-based violence and the gender strategy, and she could really detail the specific conversations that she and her team have had in ways that have really improved the way that we think about it. So that was something that really struck me today as a particularly good example. Unfortunately, Louise is moving on from the Scottish Government in September, but I'm thinking Ellie, before she leaves, I'd quite like her to do a bit of a masterclass with the rest of us about her experience so that we can all learn from her, because part of how I want my team to function is that we learn from each other. We're not all good at everything, but where people have particularly skills and experience, we should learn from them, I think.
Yep.
My next question is, we've brought a few of these issues to ET and Cabinet many years in a row. Children see these as urgent. We want to make sure that progress is made so they don't keep coming back. What is one quick action and one long-term goal that you are taking away from today's meeting?
Yeah, so the quick action, again, I was really struck by our conversation around vaping, and the message that I put on the tree was that I would ask my team, who lead on government marketing and advertising, whether we could run a campaign to warn people generally, but I guess young people especially, about the health dangers of vaping. And you and your colleagues, Cara, were telling us about brain rot as being a kind of thing among young people that could be quite influential. So we'll have a look at that and see if that's a good way of reaching people and get those messages across. I think the longer term thing, the big thing has to be climate change, doesn't it? That will be the thing that ultimately will change so many different aspects of people's lives. Already is in many parts of the world, but Scotland won't be exempt from that. So we have we have obligations in law. There are things we need to do legally in terms of reducing carbon emissions. So we have to do that anyway. But all the conversations today just remind me that we've got an obligation, my generation really has an obligation to really make progress on that because it's so fundamental to everything else.
I think in terms of these meetings, I think that it's actually been a really nice, I was just thinking about what I was painting there, and I don't know if it's maybe a good way to end to sort of share what we've been painting and what we're feeling. And so I'm going to show the cameras, but I've painted a sun because it's sunny in Glasgow for the first time in history. No, not the first time in history. One of the first times in history it's sunny. And then that's the River Clyde. But I'm also just thinking of like rivers and flows and how it's quite abstract, but I think when we talk to children and young people, we need to make sure that the journey continues and it's not just it's not one thing that happens, but it's a journey that keeps going.
Yeah.
And then there's a little pink person who's speaking, because I think that was really important. And today there was not a lot of adults speaking, and it was a lot of children and young people sharing their views and opinions.
Yeah.
So it's kind of what I captured. Cara, what have you painted?
I was trying to draw my beehive and make like a bunch of other people.
Wow.
But I didn't really finish it, so it doesn't look like a very good job.
It was a very quick painting. I think it's
Yeah.
a great job.
My last question is, how are you going to keep children in Scotland up to date with the progress you've made?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think we should work with both your organisations to get you regular updates, and we'd listen to your advice really. What's a good way to do that? Would you like something in writing? I quite like doing vlogs actually, so record something into camera, keep it nice and short, to the point, don't need to waffle on. But I get your advice on what's the best way of doing that. But I think that is really important, because these things, I'm so proud that Scotland does this, right? Both the Cabinet and the Executive team. Part of what devolution is about being able to speak to people about their government, and young people need to be part of that. But it needs to happen between these kind of more formal meetings. So I'll take your advice on what's the best way of communicating that, but we need to keep you up to date with the actions that we're taking. That's super important.
Definitely. And then finally, what did you paint, Joe?
We don't need to get into what that is. I literally don't know what that is, but I quite like it. I quite like the blue, and I found it quite relaxing, and it helped me think of the answers that I was going to give you, but I have no idea what that is.
I mean, you did have the toughest job to paint and think and reflect.
Thank you.
on our
I'm glad you said
questions,
that,
so.
Ellie. I agree with that. And I actually quite like it.
Hang it up in your
Even
office.
if no one else does, but that's leadership for you, isn't it?
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to meet with us, and then to also do some painting.
Well, thank you, and thanks for giving up your time. And I know a lot of the young people have travelled quite a long way as well today. Shetland, Stranraer, just a couple of examples, means a lot to us, and so thought-provoking to us. It thinks about our profession, it thinks about how we communicate, how we think about the people of Scotland, and it's constantly, I guess, challenging, but in a good way. And thank you, for being part of that and helping us out. So thank you.